One great thing about media is that it can make us feel our negative emotions but make us enjoy it. Shock, confusion, sadness, these are just some of the things we feel when we react to on-screen events. When it comes to video games, these events can have a bigger impact because we can play a part in said event, often resulting in "what the fuck" being uttered in many different ways, from humid confusion to shockingly disturbed. Memorable gaming moments that made us say this phrase are already too many, and they won't be stopping anytime soon, so trying to list them all would be an impossible task. So here are 10 instances where I said "what the fuck" at a video game. Spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Number 10. Pulling a Mike Tyson. When I was a kid, there were two things about gaming I always got excited about. Getting a new game, even if it was shit, and looking through those small books full of cheat codes and secrets to make the game better. When I received Knockout Kings 2001 for the PS1, I instantly checked the book and found a secret move that you could pull off. Well, several, in fact. You could do illegal moves like kicking and throwing elbows, but one of those moves would leave me surprised, yet laughing. While clinching your opponent, if you press all of the face buttons at the same time, you bite your opponent's ear. And they didn't shy away from the gore either, as bits of flesh fly from the boxer's head out of a red mist. Obviously a reference to the infamous fight between Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Doing it obviously gets you disqualified, no shit, but you can set matches to no DQ and use all of them how you see fit, which for me made boxing a hell of a lot more interesting. Number 9. The ending of Inside. The dark dystopian world of Inside is full of disturbing moments, and one of the most famous moments comes from its non-secret ending. After breaking into a scientific facility, you enter a containment unit where a mass of human limbs known as the Huddle absorbs you. Then you gain control over it and have to escape. Using your newfound chunky and possibly stinky, gross-sounding form, you terrify everyone in the facility who sees you on the way out, as well as causing destruction to escape by any means. Then when you finally do make it out, you roll your way to freedom, to then have it denied. Inside is one of those games where the ending is up to interpretation, but the surprise and shock you feel when the boy you've been playing and surviving as this whole time willingly allows himself to be eaten and become part of the Huddle. It comes out of nowhere, and then to watch as you stop just short of the ocean and dry out in the sun like SpongeBob and Patrick, it leaves you disappointed that you didn't make it, but also accepting because deep down, a part of you knew that this game wasn't going to have a good ending. You may disagree, but one thing we can all agree on: this bit was fucking weird. Number 8. The Strogification of Matthew Cain. The Quake series isn't one I'm too familiar with, and I plan to look into it at a later date, especially now since they're being released on the Game Pass. A few years ago I played Quake 4 on the 360, where you play as Matthew Cain as you fight an alien race known as the Strog. At one point you get captured by them and are put through the process of becoming one of them. Watching from Cain's eyes as horrific sights, like what's coming up next on the poor bastard in front of you, or his legs being buzzsawed off, make you feel very uncomfortable as you wince and crunch your own body at the thought of the pain he must be going through. Though what I did find funny about this sequence is, well, one, I don't look strapped down. At any time I could probably just get up and run away. And second, when I actually get my robotic body, my demeanour suddenly becomes very chilled and relaxed. I'm not entirely convinced Cain's not okay with becoming a Strog. I'm just saying. Number 7. The Sorrow Boss Fight. The Metal Gear Solid series is one of the most iconic and well-crafted of all time. Its overly cinematic storytelling, over-the-top drama, and great action sequences have entertained fans for years. However, what a lot of fans love most are the abnormal characters, which have led to some very strange storylines, iconic boss fights, and of course, memes.
Nanomachine, son.
A character who stands out to me is the Sorrow because of how out of place, yet still fitting, he is. Up until you fight him, you've been fighting bosses with unusual skill sets. Ocelot with his bullseye-like gun skills, the Pain who can control hornets, the End, the elderly sniper who can literally die of old age if you take too long to kill him, all of which have been soldiers that are within technological reality of the Metal Gear world. But when you meet Sorrow, you're now dealing with the supernatural. Starting off with a cryptic description of who he is before going metal and crying blood, the boss fight isn't really a fight at all, but more of a dodging gauntlet. As you walk down this impromptu river Styx, ghosts of everyone you've killed in the game will wander from the fog like zombies trying to drag you to the afterlife with them, as Sorrow floats around trying to guilt Snake with all the lives he's taken. Unless you're like me and you use the trank gun for most of the game, so that this boss fight gets cut much, much shorter. When you reach the end, you have no choice but to touch Sorrow, and Snake dies of guilt. Unless you use the revival pill hidden in his tooth. It's a memorable boss because of the drastic approach it takes, making it a horror experience instead of an action movie. Yet it still manages to feel at home with Kojima's writing style. Is it a dream about Snake's guilt? Is it really the ghost of a disturbed soul? Did that one snake you ate end up acting as a hallucinogen? Who knows? Number 6. The entirety of Pode. The game is such a trip, and I don't even need to cut the background or say much to make my point. This Doom clone sees you playing as, I'm guessing the chef because of your starting weapon, on a spaceship full of monsters that just look so weird. I mean, I don't even have to say anything else, just enjoy 1 minute of commentary-less gameplay, and you'll see what I'm on about. Number 5. Eternal Darkness's Insanity Mechanic. Eternal Darkness is a hidden gem of horror games. Taking heavy inspiration from Eldritch Horror, players will investigate the murder of their uncle, as what they learn will slowly drive their characters mad. Whenever you see a monster, or just progress through the story, your character will take sanity damage. When your sanity is low enough, your character will begin to hallucinate bizarre and irrational situations. They start off small and subtle. Doors that were open suddenly lock, making you think that the game is soft locked for a time. Blood dripping from the ceiling, or bugs begin to crawl along the screen. Then when the madness really sets in, limbs can begin to fall off your person, characters will take control of themselves and waste resources. You randomly find bodies lying around. Some of them are actually quite funny, like when your TV turns itself off, or the blue screen of death makes an unwelcome appearance for a limited time. It's such a well executed mechanic, and I've not seen it in anything else. I'd love to see it used in modern gaming, even if it's like an Eternal Darkness remake. With the technological advances we've got now, there's so much more they could do with it. Number 4. The ending to Dog's Life. Before we get into this one, look at the case of the game. In particular, the age rating. Burn it into your retina. Got it? Now, Dog's Life is a game where you play as Jake, a dog who goes on an adventure to rescue Daisy from dog catchers for no reason other than he's a horny bugger. Okay, so it's a pretty standard plot point, something you'd see out of an old Disney film minus the horniness. But when you reach Daisy at the end, it turns out the villain, the cat lover Miss Peaches, has been kidnapping dogs to put them into a death machine and grind them up into cat food. 3+. Complete with bloody buzzsaws, jigsaw contraptions, and a crazy cat lady with a gun, you need to disable and destroy the machine bit by bit to keep Daisy safe as she is pulled along a conveyor belt. And at the end you're able to rescue her. It's a dark but happy ending, right? Oh no. No, we need a little bit more what the fuckery here. Miss Peaches threatens to kill you if you don't climb into the machine yourself. Jake then lets rip with a fart so stinky that she falls back into the grinder herself and gets turned into cat food. 3+. Number 3. Goblin Genocide. 99 Nights is a Warriors-style fantasy hack-and-slash that follows the trope of light versus dark, but it does make a bit of effort to make you question the morality of the so-called light and dark warriors. Infi is your starting character. She's a grumpy 17-year-old on a never-ending personal revenge mission who has about as much charm and blunt edginess as Christensen's Anakin, as well as an unshifting hatred for goblins. So much hate that she will slaughter the men, women, and children without question. Already shocking enough seeing it in a cutscene that she has no care for even the innocence of the enemy force, the game then slaps into your lap the responsibility of finishing off what she just started. It doesn't matter how flashy of a moveset you have, watching a child fall to its knees and die by your hand was one of the most disturbing things I'd ever seen and done in a game. I did have to put it down for a while before coming back to it. It doesn't affect me as much now, because I can see that it's part of the narrative, but it still leaves me feeling a little shaken. God, this really does feel like I'm playing a more unappealing Anakin Skywalker.
They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them!
Number 2. White Phosphorus. Cementing itself into gaming history as one of the most infamous moments of all time, Spec Ops The Line features a scene that captures the disturbing sights that war presents. You approach an area named the Gates. You detect a large amount of enemy soldiers who you believe have captured civilians, and you need to get past them in order to save the civilians. If you take them head on, it's going to be a difficult fight. But then you discover something. White Phosphorus. A devastating weapon that could turn the tide in your favour. But do you use it? If you decide yes, you rain down hell on the enemy, then walk in the aftermath of your destruction. Men crawl and beg during their last moments alive, until you find one who still has the strength to speak.
Why?
You brought this on yourself.
We were helping.
What? Oh no.
It turns out that these particular soldiers were here to help and were trying to get the civilians to safety. And as the civilians were already here, you've slaughtered all of them. Men, women, children. Why did this happen? Because of you. You chose to use the weapon. You pulled the trigger. You saw enemies, not human beings. You did this. And that's what makes the scene so disturbing, as well as its blunt honesty in what it wants to say. War isn't just some playgrounds where you do silly dances or flex with paint jobs for your guns that you paid real money for. It's a life or death situation where the darkest and cruelest aspects of mankind and reality rule, changing the kindest of hearts into the blackest of evils. A time where nobody comes out unscathed. Not the winners, not the brave, not the good, not the innocent, not the survivors, not anyone. The sights they have seen will haunt them to the grave, and this scene puts it plain and simple for you to see. War is hell. Number 1. Witcher 3's Family Matters quest. Folklore is full of some of the most disturbing, scary, and demented tales that ever pass through the mouths of humans. One of which is I think it's pronounced Poroniek? Any Polish or Polish-speaking viewers, please correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Modern gamers will better know this creature as the Botchling, a demon that takes form of a demented fetus, created by the improper burials of stillborn infants. In the Witcher 3 quest, Family Matters, Geralt must help Baron Philip Strenger find his missing wife and daughter. As they speak, the Baron reveals that during a violent argument with his family, he was knocked unconscious by his wife. When he woke up, he had found that his wife had had a miscarriage on the bed before she fled. What remained of the child, he buried. Geralt informs him that the child has become a botchling, and by using the blood ties it has, he'll be able to locate the Baron's family. It will be up to you if you want to save the botchling or kill it, but whatever path you choose, the quest is undoubtedly an uncomforting but memorable one, and not for the faint of heart. The botchling itself is a nightmarish, grotesque creature, but one that you can sympathise with, and if you feel so inclined, can help it find peace by showing that not every story that starts sad has to end that way. God, I made these last few minutes of the video a bummer, eh?